Until the 1st of February, I'm excited to be partnering with HelloFresh UK. Get money off fresh meal kits delivered to your door by using the discount link or the checkout code in the description below. Get 50% off your first box and 35% off the following 3, as well as 3 free gifts. If you want to see more from HelloFresh UK, then check out my social medias where I've been sharing my meals the last few weeks. And what's best, if you sign up, you help support the channel and you can cancel at any time. Well, isn't it a good job we got our points on the board early here with Ipswich, because this finish to the season has been disastrous. Injuries galore, including a season ender for Paul Ferdinand just after the last episode. And what's interesting, well, we haven't won a game since. Hello and welcome along to part 58 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. We are back today for our final 2 games of the season, and as we said in the intro, we are on a disastrous run. Since you were last with me, we have not won a game, I don't think. We've certainly gone on holiday early, and this is the problem with being a mid-table club with plenty of the season to go. Today we face Bristol City and Luton, 2 of those other mid-table clubs, but since you were last with me, it has been a disaster. So if you're looking forward to seeing the results and whether we can do anything different today, then please do put a thumbs up on it. A quick plug to check out the food channel as well. Lots of new stuff coming there over the next few days. You can find that up in the eye above. But let's go and crack on with the schedule, because it has not been a good couple of months. So let's have a look at what I mean. So you were with me last time out. I think it was, for our last win against Plymouth Argyle, wasn't it? Since then, 9 matches, 2 points. It is absolutely awful. We started with fairly narrow defeats. They're getting bigger and bigger. The goals have stopped going in. We haven't scored more than 1 in any game since those 4 against Plymouth. And it all coincided with the injury to the key man. We have had 2 awful spells this season. The first one was when our star player was out of form. The second one is when he was injured. We are a one-man team when it comes to attacking intent. So if we have a look at what happened since you were last with me, a 2-1 defeat away at Huddersfield. We were a little unlucky in this one. We started poorly. After that, we were the better side, but George Hurst's penalty was not enough. Away at Coventry, well, by then we had our injury. Paul Ferdinand was unfit. He was out for the season, and it's a long-term one. It might have repercussions. It might affect him in the future. For us though, Clinton Mola got a consolation. Again, not enough to get us a result. A 2-0 defeat against Norwich, a 0-0 draw against Swansea, and a 2-0 defeat against Stoke rounded off March in awful style, before at the start of April, a 1-1 draw against Rotherham. A late equaliser cost us what would have been a precious 3 points, but Raheem Harper did really well in that game too. But then 3 back-to-back defeats, 2-0 against Blackburn, 4-1 at Middlesbrough. A Leif Davis free kick was the only consolation, and a 2-0 defeat at home to Derby. So with Bristol City and Luton to come, it is an awful end to the season. And if we have a look at the medical centre, we have still got a number of key injuries. Clinton Mola is out for the season now. Luke Wolfenden is on his way back. He's missed 1 game. Alex Mowat has been out for about 6 weeks as well. And Paul Ferdinand has been out since the 5th of March. So we've lost our best box-to-box midfielder and definitely our best attacking talent. And the ones that have come in for them have been shocking. We had Hurst on a goal drought. We had Shaquille on a goal drought. And we just look all over the place. So it is the point we were making in the last episode. We need to improve the squad in the summer, or the first 11, when there's 3 or 4 key injuries, they get really found out. In truth, I'm not sure Mowat recovers from his injury. He's 34. He's declining massively. And I'm not sure he gets back to the same level again. For Ferdinand, it's just about getting back. He was doing really well this year, was without doubt our key player, but at the moment he is struggling to get himself fit. So let's go and get into the final 2 fixtures. I don't really want to hang on this season too much. I'll show you very quickly on the way to youth intake, and I am going to promote John Dunn. I'm going to give him a chance at senior football. But if we have a look at the candidates from the youth team, it's not a great intake. So we're not going to be getting any stars out of it. When you consider some of the players that have been coming through and some of the players in our squad that were academy prospects, it's not quite the same level. There's no doubt in that. So not much, if anything, to cheer from the last episode, but let's go and get into our first game of the day. Bristol City away from home. They're in 17th place. They must have won a game in the last 2 months. They have. They've won 2 of their last 3. So this is going to be pretty tricky for us. Let's go and get through, pick our lineup for today, Hopefully we'll be able to get a result, but I would not bank on it at all. Here we go then, both Zach Swanson and Shaquille back from short-term injuries but not fit enough to start. I have been putting in Samuels at centre-half, him, Edmondson and Wolfenden when he was fit. All been in awful form. I might go to a back three next season, we'll wait and see. But for now, it is Grimshaw in goal, Trey Hume and Leif Davis the fullbacks with Edmondson alongside Samuels at centre-half. Kent, Harper, Adeniran the midfield three, Sykes, a fully fit Woodburn and George Hurst the front three. But let's be honest, everyone has been crap. We've got some youngsters on the bench. John Dunn could make his debut under us today. Don't think he's played a league game before. And Mark Hitchin is constantly the best trainer. So maybe if we do have issues on the right wing next year, he'll be able to step in. He has done all right, but he doesn't really fit the tactic. And I didn't want to change that mid-year. So with Woodburn back, he's the man who gets the nod. But let's go and get into the first of these two games. I know it might not be the most thrilling end to the season, but it is certainly going to have a bearing on next, because if we go 11 without a win at the end, surely people are going to be looking at us closely. Well, to be fair, it's not a bad Bristol City side. Ian Everett is in charge, but Keenan Davis, Ryan Hedges, Pert Harris, Ryan Yates, another good player in there, Wargate at fullback and Johansson the skipper in goal. They've got Boyce Clark on the bench who we've managed before, Callum Lang a decent player as is Joe Williams. Of course, we had a stint at Bristol City in FM23's head coach, and it helped take us to the next level. Here, I'm not so sure we're going to have that, because at Ipswich, we're struggling to get going, and unless we get a big budget and a big overhaul of this squad next summer, it's going to be the same limitation, which is we have to play to contain. We've not got enough defensive strength to let them free and let them play man for man, so we have to then protect them with a couple of midfielders. So this is going to be a very interesting end, but hopefully it's going to be a big summer. Fingers crossed we keep our job after a terrible run of form. But so far, we've met our objectives early, and thank God, because we would not be doing it if we were under pressure here. The lads are on the beach, but will the fans still be able to push us on to a result? There's a big away contingent there, you've got to give them credit. But what are they going to be able to do for us? As Leif Davis at the back gives it to Edmondson and Kent. Back to Grimshaw, who looks for that long ball up. Hurst will get there, will he? No. Doesn't even jump, really. Yates brings it down. Bristol City comfortable on the ball, just knocking it about. Very comfortable stuff for them. And it's out to the left-hand side where they've got acres of space. Not quite the same again, is it, with Sykes instead of Ferdinand. Thorne gets in down the left, cuts inside too. And when things aren't going your way, those are the sort of things that happen. Massive deflection on the shot. The keeper had dived. It was going straight to his hands. It took a nick off Samuel or Hume, whoever it was. They went flying into the near corner. Not much you can do about that. 20 minutes gone, it's been an even game, but yet again, we find ourselves behind. Well, as we reach half-time, it stays the same. We have arguably been as good a side as them despite not having a lot of the ball, but in the end, it's just not been enough. It is something I am going to work towards next year, I think. If we're going to end up struggling and with a smaller squad, I'm at least going to do it my way. We've got some good footballers. We are losing the physical edge because it's becoming an older and older squad every window. So with that in mind, I feel like we might have to look towards maybe playing a bit more football, maybe ignoring the target man, putting him out wide, putting a big man or a quick man through the middle, I don't know whether that's something we look at. But for now, let's go and make our changes. John Dunn will make his debut. He is on for Raheem Harper. He is probably better as a playmaker type, isn't he? Yeah, he's absolutely fine at that. Frankie Kent will come off in a holding role. Not sure who can come on there anymore. We've got Trey Hume. We've got possibly Adeniran who can drop in. Archie Buck will come on because he's a decent lone player. Adeniran will drop to the holding role. They could go either way round, but we'll stick with that. Then in the attacking areas, we'll go for Mark Hitchin on the right. Sykes has had a pretty average year in truth. He will go as a winger on support. And then Hurst will be replaced by Shaquille, who will become an advanced forward on attack. Look at Edmondson again. The match ratings of these centre-halves is so powered towards aerial duels and winning headers. You see it in non-league where the centre-halves get 7.5 every week. You see it in our distillery save. Here where there's a bit more football played and you're reliant on distribution, it's so powered against that. What we're going to do though, and I did say it at the start of the season, who plays a 5'5" centre-half? We do. Toffolo on, Davis centre-half. Let's go and get through the 25 minutes because the skipper, he has really let me down again. 10 minutes to go. I'm going attacking. We're chasing this game with everything we've got. We've encouraged the lads. We've pushed them forward, but let's see how much it costs us at the back. As in their midfield, Bristol City have it with Yates. Big switch to Thorne, the current match winner. He's awarded with a goal. He doesn't deserve it. Hurt Harris hits it against the crossbar. Crawford picks it up on the right. Again, as soon as we go more aggressive, we're vulnerable at the back. It's a real problem for this football team. With 3 minutes of stoppage time gone, a 1-0 defeat away at Bristol City, 10 without a win, no goal again. And to be honest, this is really disappointing. Not the end to the season we were hoping. At this point, I just want to get the season over with. The final game against my club, Luton Town. Let's go and see how we get on. Well, it's time for the final day of the season. The fans expecting a draw against Luton Town, and I would take that right now. Alex Mowat is not fit. Zach Swanson is not fit. And for those of you that stuck around, well done. You're now going to get to find out what the title was all about. Because I asked the question, am I Steven Gerrard? And the answer is, well, maybe. Because the Paul Ferdinand injury was a very big change at this club and it has cost us. However, it's not the only contributing factor. If we go to the transfer screen, if we go to the transfer history, and if we go over to the staffing, you will notice that around the middle of February, not long before our last win, we had a certain incident occur. Mick Beale, who joined us last summer, not one known for his loyalty and sticking around at a club, he ran off to Wigan to be assistant manager. And a little bit like with Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa, we are being attributed with a bit of correlation there. Have we gone on a bad run at exactly the same time? I don't know, it might be a bit of an issue for us. Maybe the bigger worry is that the replacement, Christian Turney, he's not quite the same level of coach, is he? Let's be honest. So that's going to be a little bit tricky for us in the long term. Not many other senior staff coming in, just a like-for-like replacement. But Mick Beale leaving, maybe, has proven that I'm no better than Steven Gerrard. We'll wait and see. Let's go and get into the final game against my club, Luton Town. They are up in 11th place. They're 7 points off the playoffs. It's a pretty good season for them in truth. But they'll be looking angrily at Watford getting promoted, Blackburn joining them. But who's going to go down? Thankfully, not us. Let's get through the tactical meeting. Let's have a look at the opposition instructions. Alan Campbell still there. Louis Barry, a star part of their team. And Ali McCann, someone we've managed before in a number of saves. So let's go and get through to the team selection. I think everyone's fit. The morale is on the floor. Wolfenden will come back in at centre half. I'm looking at the rest of this side. There is not a lot of inspiration there. Into the team comes Samuels on the bench for Tripp. And I think we're going to leave it at that. Swanson not able to start a game yet. Hitchin probably not big enough to come in. And Mark Sykes on the right, I've just realised, out of contract the end of the season. There are some big problems at this football club. But for now, we've got to try and sort out on the pitch. And that is our responsibility. Well, 4 changes for our visitors today. Bagan and McCann do not start as expected. Elijah Adebayo, James Bree and Alan Campbell among the originals. But let's go and get through the dressing room. Sean Dyche's side will be up for this. And we don't look up for anything at the minute. Through to the first half we go. Still a good crowd in. You've got to give them big credit. But I just want to get a point on the board. And hopefully we can do that to finish the season. Well, here we are after a quiet first 15 as Sykes picks the ball up on halfway. Releases Hurst, who's got to score. He's one-on-one, and there is the confidence issue. Blazes it at least 20 yards over the bar. It is awful finishing. It's a real lack of composure, but we are straight up with a corner again. Headed away the first time from Leif Davis cross. He picks it up on the edge. Finds Adeniran. Back to Davis again. That is a quality strike. When you can't rely on the attackers to score, you've just got to go for it yourself. I think he's scored both of our last 2 goals now, hasn't he? But we are the better team. We're dominating the match. And it would be nice to end at least with a win. As Davis crosses for Hurst. His shooting boots are not on. The headers are going wayward. The shots are even worse. But at 10 minutes to the break, I'm happy with the performance. We look a good side. We're dominating the match. And Edmondson's even playing well. Miracles do happen. Though we come back in stoppage time of the first half. And this is where the concern comes. Dominating a game, but will we throw it away? Amath gets down the right, ball into Barry. I mean, he's put it wide, but who on earth was marking him? Nobody within sight. We get away with it. It gets to half-time at 1-0. But it is a little bit of a warning sign at the back. We're not quite as solid as we were earlier in the year. But for now, we've still got the lead. Let's see if we can keep it in the second half. Well, about 25 minutes to go. It's been a quiet start to this half, so let's bring on some youngsters. Hitchin on the right for Woodburn. We'll switch Sykes over to the left. He'll be a winger on support, and he's getting better and better at that, apparently. We're also going to take off Harper for Dunn, the other youngster, and Wolfenden will come off for Samuels. With 25 minutes left, can we get the win? That is also the big question. Hurst will come off shortly. He's struggling for pace up front. He'll be replaced by Shaquille, who will go as an advanced forward through the middle. He's in a goal drought himself. God knows how long that is now. And then at left back, Leif Davis on a yellow. I probably have to take him off. So Toffolo, you can come on there. We've got 15 minutes to cling on now. This would be a really important win. Can we hold on for it though? James Bree's gone off injured. Maybe. Maybe it's going to be our day. We've dominated the match, but this is about the time against Rotherham we let in the equaliser. Do not let it happen this time. We're going to... Oh no, I've celebrated too soon. I was about to say we're going to finish with a win. 15 seconds of stoppage time left, and Edmondson has a free kick. It's in the Luton half. We shouldn't really concede from here, but our game management isn't always the best. Toffolo switches to Hitchin. Shaquille's in. It's his final game for the club. And of course he ends the goal drought now. 5 for the season for a player of his quality. Really disappointing. He started so many games and he's not delivered. But he does score on his final moment. Probably his final kick as an Ipswich Town player. 2-0 the win. Our first in 11 matches. And we do get 3 points to end the season. Let's get ahead to the season review and reflect on what's been a bit of a topsy-turvy season. Time for our season review. After a 16th place finish with Ipswich Town, it could have been better, but the end to the season was awful. Let's have a look at the players who came in. Wow, that is pretty interesting actually. None of the players who joined the club had a great average rating. Kent was restricted by his role a bit, so I'm not as upset by him. But all of the others were not good enough to break into the team, and that sums up the problem this year. Hume played more than I would have liked due to Swanson's problems, but overall, that sums up an awful lot of what I was saying. We need a better squad and we need better depth. Let's have a look at the season results. 16th was the finish in the end. The home attendance, absolutely brilliant. We can't criticise the fans. We had that silly run of defeats back there in September. The remarkable run of draws from mid-October. It was a season of spells, wasn't it? We look good in places, but overall we're not good enough. And as soon as we get injuries, we're in big, big trouble. In the FA Cup, we got through to face Manchester City and got embarrassed. And in the Carabao Cup, we lost at Coventry. But overall, we did our job this year. And while it wasn't inspiring, it wasn't exciting to watch. We did manage to do enough to seemingly at least keep our job pretty comfortably. The finances are okay. The club reputation's okay. There's the proof in the pudding if you needed it. The top 2 shirt sellers, Ferdinand and Mowat, both injured long term at the end of the year, correlated with that awful run. And Ben Woodburn, another one in the top 5, who very rarely stayed fit. How we lined up for the year. Ferdinand, the only player to beat a 7 rating, tells you an awful lot, doesn't it? Hurst scored 16, but about half of them were pens, so got to be a little bit careful with how you read that. And at centre-half, we were shocking. In a holding role, we weren't great. I'm feeling a change of tactic next year, but it will depend on what the director of football does in the summer. If we have a look at the fans' player of the season, no surprise there is Ferdinand. Everything else is pretty average, to be honest. No records broken, nothing brilliant this season, just an okay year. That sums it up. History in the making as we finish 16th, 5 places higher than Scott Parker managed last year. Let's get ahead to this season. 300 games in charge when we drew 1-1 with Norwich. We got a few signings in, of course that was our director of football. But for now, there is not much to sing about this season. Even in this review, there's not an awful lot mentioned. We did get our budgets yesterday to show what we've got, or our director of football will be working with. 2.5 million, a wage budget of 325 grand a week. At the moment, it's 313, so it's not a huge upgrade. Some of the lower earners from the squad like Sykes are out of contract. It might be an issue later in the year because if he brings players in for bigger wages again, we're going to end up with absolutely nothing. Give you a comparative example. We've got Sykes on 4.5 grand a week. Woodburn, a squad player in the same position, came in on 11. That's what we're fighting with at the minute. The club expectations for next year, though, avoid relegation. They haven't upped their objective. They've actually reduced it, haven't they? Because last season it was become an established team, avoid a relegation battle. This year it's just avoid relegation. So does that suggest that maybe they're not going to invest? They don't want to go forward so much? Of course, we've played defensively solid football. We've played high-tempo pressing football. I don't really want to play direct again. So I might just ignore that and try and play my style. I'm sure they'll forgive us if we do the other two and we start flying up the league. The squad is going to look a little bit brittle. Sykes has just been offered a new deal. I can see that there. Kamara's going to be off. Bates and Bonham are going to be off. Bonham's retiring, the latter of them. Maybe it's a season where I choose to promote some of the youth players, force the others out. Because you look at people like Holtman, no one wants them. And they're just eating up big wages at the minute. Why he gave Mowat another deal, I don't know. But all of those things are going to be a little bit difficult to deal with. We're going to have to wait and see how this aging squad gets on. But can Gary Probert deliver in the summer? And can I deliver on the pitch without Mick Beale by my side? If you want to find out and you did enjoy this season, please do put a thumbs up on the video. We'll go back to this screen so you can see where we finished. 16th place, a solid goal difference, but not a lot of quality when there's 1 or 2 injuries. If you want to stay up to date and find out how the summer goes though, and whether the director of football gets the signings we need, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. Let me know in the comments if you think we'll get the ones we need or not, or will we be left frustrated when we return at the start of next season. We'll be back to get the answer to that in a couple of days' time, but in the meantime, we've got a blockbuster finish to our Build a Nation Save season with Distillery. Make sure you check that one out in the eye above, as well as the Twitch channel, the football podcast, the food channel, and of course the sponsor HelloFresh too. It does make a massive difference to the channel and gets you a big discount as well. But thank you as always for watching. I'll put one of those food videos above my head now, and I'll see you back here in a couple of days' time for a new season and a transfer special at Ipswich.